Do you know how to speed up your fades? Stick around because in this video, I'll show you the fastest technique to achieve a fade.
Let's go.
First and foremost, we need to make sure the cape is properly placed on the client, preventing any annoying and uncomfortable hair from getting in. The first thing I do is mark my initial guide or base. I do this with my clippers and the lever completely closed. Since we're doing a medium fade, we don't need to raise our guide too high. It should be located approximately halfway up the hairline curve and below the occipital bone at the back of the head. If you're a beginner or want to save time, I recommend marking it this way rather than using the trimmer. It's much easier to erase the mark later without struggling like everyone does. The hair that's left about a finger's width below the guide will be taken care of with our edger, making sure not to raise it to the same height. In this case, I'm using my trimmer because I'll be switching to a razor later. However, if you use a straight razor, you can skip the edger step. Just be cautious and only skip it if the client's hair is short. If there's a lot of growth, it's better to trim it down to avoid any cuts. Once we've cleaned the area, we'll move on to our shaver. We'll bring it up to about a finger's width below our first guide, making sure to move outward when we reach that height, creating a C-shaped motion. Something many people overlook but is crucial in my opinion is not applying too much pressure with the shaver. It can irritate the client's skin unnecessarily. Shaving gently will still provide a close shave. Then we'll immediately erase the line we created with the shaver, using short downward strokes opposite to the direction we used before. We'll only do this on the line without going higher. Once we've erased the line with the shaver, we'll move on to our second guide, which we'll create with a 0 guard on our clippers, fully open, which is equivalent to a 0.5. The width of this guide will directly affect the result of our fade. A narrower guide will result in a darker or compressed gradient, while a wider guide will make our fade look smoother or stretched. Neither is right or wrong. It depends on the desired outcome for each haircut. Now we've got two options. Either continue with the fade and erase the line at the end, or erase it now. I'm going to choose the latter option, and we'll do it using our two-position technique. First, we run the machine with the lever halfway, which is the first position, and it helps us start weakening and blurring the mark. The important thing when carrying out this two-position technique is to be more careful not to go too high when erasing from top to bottom. For example, now with the lever halfway, I'm only going to go up to the middle of the guide, without going all the way to the top. Then we need to use the second position, which will be almost closed. We'll use this to detail any darkness that couldn't be erased. This time, I don't fully close the little key because that level marked my first baseline. That's why I was saying that this way it'll be much easier for you if you're beginners, or if you want to make the cuts faster. That's precisely the purpose of this video, to show you the technique I use when I need to speed up the cutting process a bit. Although I don't do it often because I cut by turns and I'm never in a hurry, I thought this video would be helpful to many of you. Now here's a personal step that not many people do, but I like the result it produces. I use the thinning scissors without any comb to polish any remaining darkness that I couldn't erase with the clippers. The reason I use the scissors alone, without a comb, is that they wouldn't cut any hair otherwise because the length in this area is very short. It's crucial to clean the cut hair with a hairbrush and talcum powder to avoid discomfort for the client. Now our next step is to use the 1.5 guard with the lever open. With this level, we will define how far our fade will go, meaning we will fade it up to our connection or bridge. Always remember to pull the machine outward in a C-shaped motion to create a slightly straighter connection without rounding it off. Once we've used the 1.5 guard, we switch to the 1 guard, also with the lever open. Remember that as we decrease the guard sizes or close the lever, we should lift the machine less. Therefore, we will lift it slightly less than with the previous guard to maintain designated spaces for each level and achieve consistency in the tones of our fade. Moving on, we use the 0.5 guard, starting again with the lever open. We repeat the same process as with the previous levels, lifting the machine slightly less than before to respect the spaces of each level. Lifting it too much can create a mark higher up. Although it can be fixed, it will slow us down. At this point, we can see that we're fading away the darkness that separates the white and gray tones. With this technique, we skip several steps as we diffuse the fade from top to bottom instead of creating and erasing a guide. To finish with the clipper, we use the same 0.5 guard and close the lever completely. This is the point where we need to be most focused because our task is to erase the remaining dark areas and fully blend the tones. It's important to avoid lifting the machine too high, as most mistakes occur here. Based on my observations from training sessions with my students, they tend to lose concentration and make mistakes by lifting the machine too high, resulting in additional time to fix those errors. Remember to use the corner of the guard to protect yourself from lifting the machine too high. Also, a helpful tip is to go over this guard several times. I've encountered situations where I would pass it, and it wouldn't cut anything. This is often due to the hair being thicker than the gaps in the guard, preventing it from entering the machine for cutting. Once we've erased all the darkness and blended the tones, we'll do an overall polish on the fade. In this case, I'm using a fine-toothed comb and my thinning scissors from the Deluxe Line brand. It's important at this point to identify what needs polishing because we don't want to do it just for the sake of it. Otherwise, we'll create a gap. We need to locate areas with more darkness than the rest and try to even them out. I also recommend making 2 or 3 passes with the scissors in the area you're working on and checking the progress. After polishing, I move on to marking the hairline curve, always trying to respect the natural contours without going too far inside in a strange way. This is important because it will look bad when the hair grows out. Similarly, when marking the forehead, try to respect the natural shape without going too high or extending too far to the sides. Sometimes, less is more. Remember, it's crucial to define all the contours with a straight razor. It will make the haircut look much cleaner and more detailed. If you don't have a reclining chair, don't worry. You can still do it. Maybe it won't be as comfortable, but there are no excuses. One essential step is to moisturize the area you're shaving, whether with gel, oil, or foam. The important thing is not to shave on dry skin. Finally, I apply a styling wax to enhance the client's hair and make it look better on camera. In this case, if I remember correctly, I used a matte-style wax. This is the final result of our medium fade using my fast fade technique. As you can see, it's very detailed and polished above all. If you would like me to demonstrate this technique with a live haircut, please leave a comment. I hope you found this helpful and enjoyable. If so, I would appreciate it if you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, have a great week, and see you next time. Goodbye.